Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Partnerships for Profit. I'm your host, Ana Del Rio, and this week we're joined by Catherine Hammond, estate and legacy planning attorney, speaker, and author of the TrueWealth Family Legacy Blueprint. Thank you so much for joining us today, Catherine. How are you doing?
I'm so glad to be here. I'm doing great, thanks.
So you said you're in Colorado. How's that weather over there right now?
It is sunny and beautiful. Probably, I don't know, high 50 degrees. So,
I love it. I love when that sun's out and it's really kind of cool outside. It just feels something fresh, especially around this time of year. So, Catherine, tell us about yourself, like how you got into the estate and legacy planning, things like that. Like, tell us.
So my journey to becoming an estate planning and elder law attorney started actually many years ago. My mother had early onset Alzheimer's disease. In fact, she thought she had it when I was about 12 years old. She cut an article out of the Denver Post about Alzheimer's and handed it to me and said, "I think I have this." And I, of course, thought she just was crazy. And she was put on disability when I was in college. By the time I was 22, I had to put her into a nursing home. So I had to hire an attorney and went through the whole living probate or conservatorship and guardianship process. And I ended up being referred to a really amazing attorney who held my hand and walked me through the whole process. And so I had an opportunity to decide what I wanted to do with that in life. And I decided that I would go to law school, make lemonade from the lemons that I had been handed, and help other people the way that my lawyer had helped me.
That's such a beautiful story. Like, what did your mother's Alzheimer's diagnosis teach you about legacy, and how did that change the way you practice law?
Well, the first thing that it taught me was that you need legal documents in place, not just for when you die, but also for if you become incapacitated. My mom didn't have any documents in place, and that's why it was such an expensive, intrusive, hard process. So the other thing that it taught me was that passing our wealth is not just about passing our money. There's a lot that I wish I had from my mom. And I mean, sure, I would have loved to inherit millions of dollars from her. None of us would turn that down. But when I think about, what I really wish I had from her, it's not money. It's more of her. It's her wisdom, her life story, like her love for me, her being proud of me in the world. Those are the things that I really wish I had. And sure, money's great, but there's a lot else in addition to money that our loved ones really, really need to thrive in the world. They've done studies, and adult children say that the non-financial legacy is 10 times more important than the financial legacy from their parents.
No, I could concur with that viewpoint. My mother, they have binders for me ready, whenever, just in case. I don't ever like to talk about it. It just feels very sad to me more to think that my parents won't be here one day, which, it's inevitable, it happens. But how do you get people past that feeling of not wanting to discuss this very sensitive but important topic?
Yeah, such a great question. So first of all, kudos to your parents for having some documents in place. That's wonderful. And they're ahead of, 70% of Americans. Gently, that's how I get people to start facing this. And it is intimidating for people. And talking about estate planning requires that we face our mortality. And I think, especially for people who have children, the best way to do it, if anybody listening has parents who don't have an estate plan in place, reminding them of the impact on you. I'm assuming that they love you and they want to do what's best for you. that there's a big impact on you if they have things in a mess versus having things in order. And so, there are a lot of estate planning attorneys across the country who have workshops and webinars and introducing people to it a little bit slowly like that, starting with some education, feels a little bit distant. I don't have to really face anything about myself right now. Can be a good way to get started.
Do you feel that makes it more easier to digest by approaching it from that perspective?
I have found that for a lot of people, talking about it at an intellectual level, yes, does make it a little bit easier to digest because it feels, again, more distant. And so we talk about it as an intellectual exercise and theoretically. And so, a good estate planning attorney is going to make people feel comfortable the second that they walk in the door as well. And I think most people who are a little bit nervous or uncomfortable about estate planning, as soon as they sit down with an attorney, especially if it's a good one, all of their fears melt away. And inevitably, once they walk out the door, having, just started the process, they heave a big sigh of relief. They have a sense of peace of mind that they didn't have when they first came in. But finding out that it's not actually going to be painful to talk about what happens to my assets, and then how do I want to set things up for my children? Because there are a lot of things that need to be addressed. Are your children, well into adulthood and fully able to manage whatever money you leave to them? Are they younger? Do they need the money managed? Are you concerned that if they get divorced down the road, they're going to lose half of their inheritance in a divorce? So as we dive into all of those different topics, yes, that's a big one for
I didn't even think about that one. Wow.
And most people don't. And so once we start talking about those things, it takes people out of the, thinking about my death and into thinking about my loved ones and what I really want to accomplish and avoid for them. And we have so much power over how things are going to go, because if we leave a mess for our loved ones when we're gone, they're going to be dealing with the mess and they won't have space and energy and time to grieve the loss of us.
That makes so much sense. And hearing it from that perspective, it does make it so much more digestible from that perspective and that reasoning. I thank you. So you say that the old version of estate planning is practically dead. What do most people get wrong about passing down wealth?
Yes. So we tend to think of wealth as money. And of course, money is an important part of wealth. But like I mentioned with my mom, it's not all of our wealth. And if you think back to the original meaning of wealth was well-being. And so if that's what we really want to leave our loved ones, which it is, right? If we love people, what we want them to have is well-being. We want them to thrive in life. Money can help, but money only goes so far. And for most people, once we have our basic needs met, more money does not equal more happiness. But studies show very clearly that more of us left to them, given to them, does equal more happiness. And so where I believe that we have gotten estate planning wrong is by focusing only on the financial capital and ignoring the human capital. Because the human capital is what can really help your loved ones thrive after you're gone. And there are so many studies that show this, but Carl Jung, most of us have heard of, famous psychiatrist, said that having a connection to the generations, both those who came before and those who come after, gives us a sense of belonging in the world, rescuing us from isolation, he says, and restoring us to wholeness. So after all his years of study and practice, Jung believed that this connection between the generations is the most important way that we can help people thrive. And this is a gift that nobody else can give our children or our grandchildren or our great-grandchildren. Only we can do that. And we haven't typically focused on it.
How would you explain what that looks like when you're speaking of, you say human capital? What? So yes, of course, when we think of estate planning, we think monetary, we think financial. Can you give us like an idea as to what that other aspect looks like so that we can focus on the things that most of us are just really, going to miss,
Yes. So yes, we still want to pass the financial capital and the human capital. There are a lot of different aspects to human capital, but the three that I focus on with my clients are our wisdom, our life stories, and our love. And discovering those, cultivating those, and then recording and gifting them in ways that our loved ones can actually hold on to, right? Like to get a letter from your mom, from your dad after they pass away, to get a video from them, to have video recordings of them talking to your children so that your children can look back on that and share that with their grandchildren. Like, these are the things that really make a difference in families.
You're reminding me of a movie that was on Netflix. I want to say it was called The List. I don't know if you've heard of it, but her mother passed away from cancer, and she was getting her inheritance were these like recorded DVDs of her mother, saying, okay, step one, this, step two, you get, once you check things off this list, you get the next one and things like that. And it just reminded me of that, because that's exactly what, correct me if I'm wrong, that's exactly what you mean. It's
exactly. Yes.
That is so much more meaningful.
And what I've found is most people don't have, at the tip of their tongue, what they think is the most important wisdom to pass on. They don't have, their stories, a list of their most important stories readily available in their brain at any given moment. And they can't think of what are the most important things to say to their children and grandchildren and maybe great-grandchildren that we haven't met yet without some time really thinking about it and playing with it. And so what I did is I created a system to help people discover and cultivate and then record and gift their wisdom, their stories, and their love. So that we're able to really give them what matters most.
That's so beautiful. I want to hear a story of somebody that you've helped, something that stuck with you. Everybody has these types of stories. So.
Yes. So the first one that comes to mind is one that was really surprising to me. So I was out for a morning walk, and I ran into this neighbor, and another one of our neighbors had recently passed away. And so this neighbor, we'll call him Gene, was thinking about his mortality. And so he knew that I'm an estate planning attorney. He said, I really need to update my will, but I'm not sure what to do because my daughter isn't that motivated to work anyway. I'm afraid she's just going to blow the money. A dollar earned is a dollar saved. And so he's worried about it. And I asked him if he had thought about leaving a letter to his daughter to go along with the check whenever he passes away. And he said, no, I really hadn't thought of that. And it's a great idea, but I don't know how to express my emotions, he says. So I invite him to just write down the answers to two questions. So the first question was, what are some things that you love about her or that you're proud of? And the second question was, what are your hopes and dreams for her in the future? And so he gets these big crocodile tears in his eyes. And this man who says that he doesn't know how to express his emotions gives me this giant hug and says, thank you. And we part ways. And then a few months later, I'm out for my morning walk again. And I barely knew him. Gene comes literally running up to me and gives me this giant hug and says, Catherine, you're not going to believe what's happened to my relationship with my daughter. Everything has changed. Now, the truth is, he did not even finish writing down the answers to these questions, but he started thinking about it. And he started thinking about his relationship with his daughter. And he realized some things that changed his behavior. And so he started calling and texting her more often. And she started calling and texting him and even stopping by to see him. So he said, we're hugging more. We didn't used to hug each other. Now we're hugging. And today they have a relationship that literally almost didn't happen. It just took this one thing of him stopping to think about things that shifted his behavior, that completely shifted his relationship. I run into him probably once a month, and he still just raves about how great his relationship is with his daughter. So simple, and that's one of my very favorite stories.
I absolutely love that story. I could feel myself starting to get emotional, but you know what? That is the sweetest. Oh my goodness.
But that's what this is about. Like we try to put estate planning over here in this intellectual financial category, but it's really about our families, right? It's really about how do we give the best of ourselves and the best possibilities of thriving in the world to our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren.
Right, exactly. I mean, I could honestly say right now that I don't care about the money. Yes, the money would be a helpful thing, but you can't replace the way that you feel, the connection that you have, that wisdom that they share. You know, it's very deep. So that you're getting people to see it from a different perspective is very important, and that's wonderful.
Right.
So you've worked with thousands of families. What's the biggest emotional relational mistake people make when planning for the future?
I would say not thinking about what it is that they actually want for their families when they pass away. And staying focused just on the dollars that we're passing without thinking about how we want them to feel, the wisdom that we want them to have, the stories that we want them to have to pass on. You know, have you ever gone on ancestry.com, look up your ancestors?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I love it. And it's so much fun to discover, like, oh, this person lived in this place. They were born here, got married at age 16, you know, all of those interesting things. Such interesting facts. But imagine if you had their story and if you had like 3 life lessons that they wished that all of their descendants could know, and the story of how they learned that life lesson, that would completely change it. So it's pretending like estate planning is only about the financial and leaving out all of the rest of it. And the financial is important, and you want to protect your assets, and you want to do all of your legal documents as well. And there are a lot of things that your documents can protect against, like spendthrift children and children who end up going through a divorce. Even if they marry somebody great, weird things happen. Taking all of those things, right? Taking all of those things into consideration. We live in a world with real humans, so.
No way, really? Yeah, we do.
Yes.
We do. No, absolutely. Oh my goodness, this is such great information, Catherine. Could you tell everybody where they can find you to get your services?
Yes, absolutely. So I have a brand new book out called the TrueWealth Family Legacy Blueprint, which is available on Amazon.com. And I have a website called TrueWealthFamily.com. And we have offerings there, and I periodically do workshops, and I do them in different cities across the country to help people come together and spend a day with other like-minded, like-hearted people to really discover and cultivate and then record some of your precious human capital for your loved ones.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay, guys, you need to check out the TrueWealth Family Legacy Blueprint, written by Catherine Hammond. Thank you so much, Catherine, for being on the show. Greatly appreciate it. And I hope that you had fun and everybody is listening and watching, that they enjoyed the content and are going and, getting the help that they need to secure their legacy. So thanks
for
again.
having me, Anna.
It's been great. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.